Locked my ex's autistic son in his room, and I don't feel bad that his mom thinks I'm a monster. Warning for violent behavior, death of a relative, and animal abuse. Names and exact ages have been slightly altered for privacy. I, 36M, am not meant to be a father. I've known this forever. I'm just not. I don't have the patience for screaming or crying. I don't have the empathy for tantrums or dealing with wailing over scraped knees. My temper wouldn't let me put up with stubborn kids. I definitely don't have the tolerance for mess that you need when you're raising a kid. I'm not OCD, but I like things neat, and when I clean a room I want it to stay relatively clean for a while. Teenagers are fine. They're near adults that can be talked to and reasoned with. My current GF, 42F, Sam, has 2 boys, 18 and 15, and they're totally fine. All I really have to do is ask them to help me out with dishes or offer cash to do yard work, and they either hang out in the living room with a game or go out with friends. Sometimes we go to concerts or ball games together. Sam's done an amazing job with them. But small kids I cannot handle for more than maybe 30 minutes at a time. It's always been this way, so when my high school sweetheart Amy told me she was pregnant 16 years ago, right after I enlisted, I had to get away from our town and my family. I told her she needed to either give it up or abort because I wasn't parent material. I'm pretty sure she was trying to baby trap me. We'd been using condoms and BC for years before this, and right before I left she kept trying to convince me to either stay or marry her and take her with. Amy did neither, no matter what me or her mother, who agreed that she wasn't ready, told her she insisted on keeping and raising the kid. I paid child support, and told her if she ever found someone who wanted to adopt I'd let them. Amy still tried to keep me up to date about the boy, Tom, with pictures, emails, even videos and invites to birthdays and holidays. All I ever sent was child support. By the time he was 2 or 3 it was pretty obvious to me just with the pictures and videos he was special needs. By that point I'd started to think I was somewhere in the spectrum, now confirmed, and figured it might have come from me. Amy didn't get him officially tested until he was almost 6, after he got violent with a girl in kindergarten and was removed. Shortly after that she started begging me for sperm. Not more money to help with her highly autistic kid. Not to put him on my insurance instead of hers. But she wanted another kid. She and her husband thought Tom would bond better if they were full siblings. I told her that was the dumbest idea I'd ever heard, and pointed out the shitshow that was my own siblings and how there was a reason I didn't talk to any of them anymore. Blood doesn't mean anything. But Amy wouldn't give it up. I tried to block her, but she got my aunt, one of the only family members I hadn't cut contact with, on her side too. I relented, on the condition that we sign a contract saying that I'm the sperm donor, nothing more, with no obligation to whatever kid came out of this. They agreed, and I went back to Tennessee long enough to sign the contract, to have a judge decide my child support obligations extend to 21 for Tom, and to visit their fertility doctor. That was the only time I met Tom before this week. He was a chubby 6-year-old who would not wear a shirt or pants and scooted on his diaper everywhere instead of walking or crawling. He was loud but didn't speak, just screamed when he wanted something and ripped at Amy's shirt when he was hungry because he was still breastfeeding half the time. To this day I have no idea how she got him in kindergarten in the first place. I hated myself for it, but I was relieved it'd never been involved. I don't have the patience for regular kids. I definitely don't have what it takes to raise one like Tom. After Amy's second kid was born, a little girl named Molly, I got a card in the mail and that was about the last I heard. Nothing else from Amy or her man, although I did send a little more money than I had to. After seeing Tom I figured they'd need it. That was 9 years ago. I've had a decent life, I'll be retiring from the Navy in a little over 3 years to, hopefully, marry Sam and join an architectural firm. Last week my aunt, the one I still talked to, passed away suddenly. I flew out to attend her funeral, and Amy invited me back to her place to meet the kids. If I was smarter I would have said no, but I thought it would be better than hanging around my shithead cousins and siblings. Their house was a disaster zone. There was crap piled up everywhere, trash not taken out, and their cat's tail was crooked and limp and it was glued to Molly's side. Molly was a sweet kid, probably somewhere on the spectrum herself, but she was as jumpy as the cat was and barely came in from the back porch even when it looked like it was going to rain. Amy told Molly to go introduce me to her brother while she put a pot of coffee on. The only room in the house that was clean was Tom's bedroom, and it tooled like this weird mix between a kindergarten and a cartoon soft room. It locked from the outside. Tom has not grown much mentally. Physically he's a little shorter than me, but he's a heavy kid. When we got to the room everything was fine. He was in a corner with his iPad, chewing on something. Molly told him they had company and he grunted and rocked a little. The cat was pretty much hiding behind us, but its fur was all up. You know that weird feeling before a tornado touches down? That's what this whole house felt like. I had no clue what I was doing. I tried to say hi, but when he didn't respond besides rocking faster I just looked at Molly and started talking to her instead. Then Tom's iPad died and he had a complete meltdown. He started screaming, and Molly tried to give him a different iPad that was charging, but he couldn't get it unlocked so he slammed the iPad into the wall next to him and tore it a chest at the bottom of his bed. I had no clue what he wanted in it, but when he got it open half-empty snack bags and sodas fell out. And a rat. Molly started screaming for her mom, and Amy just told her to get him the other iPad or his nipple. When Molly kept screaming Amy snapped at her to calm down and help her brother, who was slamming the empty chest up and down and throwing things while the rat tried to find a way out. When he chucked a full 2 liters of soda and then the dead iPad at us, I slammed the door shut, locked it, and grabbed Molly and the cat to get them outside. The rat was on its own. Amy saw me go by and finally started paying attention to what was happening. She followed me outside and demanded to know what I was doing with her family. I put Molly down, handed her the cat, and told Amy what happened. Amy's biggest concern was that she was going to have to buy 2 more iPads. Not that Molly almost got concussed. Not that the cat with the broken tail is terrified of her older kid. I told Amy she was failing her daughter and she needed to get her head out of her ass if she thought iPads were the most important thing right then. She told me that if I'd stuck around to parent my son none of this would be happening. I told her, pretty flatly, that if I wouldn't have tolerated that kind of behavior when he was toddler, let alone a teenager, and if this how she acts she wouldn't like my version of parenting, violent kids, autistic or not. He'd either learn not to throw shit asterisk at people asterisk, or he'd be in a care facility that could handle him without losing their tempers. Because that isn't me, so she lucked the fuck out. Amy grabbed Molly and towed her back inside after calling me a monster. Maybe I am, but that's why I'm not a father. I feel bad for Molly, but I don't think there's anything I can really do. She's not my daughter, and when I called Amy's mom to ask if she'd seen what I had, she started crying and told me that she'd tried to call CPS before but they hadn't done anything about the situation. No idea where Amy's husband was for all this. Edit. CPS has been called.